Hello and welcome to the history of pixel art. In this section, we are going to dive into the history of pixel art and where it came from so we have a better idea of the content that we are making. So when we're exploring the history of pixel art, we are going to want to ask ourselves, how did pixel art become an art style? So the term pixel art was first published by Adele Goldberg and Robert Flegel. And this emerged out of the necessity and practicality of wanting to create games, but due to the technology available at the time, it was very limited. So we saw this art style become prominent around the mid-1970s when game design started to develop. And one of the first examples that I can think of pixel art is the game Pong. And Pong is a series of small squares that make up shapes, and it's basically like ping pong or tennis where, you go back and forth. It's very primitive, but at the time when it first came out, it was revolutionary. So if we're thinking in context of how things became art styles, we have to really open our minds to think at this time, this technology that they're using and the games that they're creating is pretty revolutionary. But as technology became more advanced, we saw an evolution of this style. So from around 1983 to 1987, we saw a rise of 8-bit. 8-bit, there's only a maximum amount of colors that can be displayed. While the technology was still limited, it was advancing to where designers were able to define their graphics better, introduce colors, and create games with 2 layers. So popular 8-bit games include Pac-Man, Super Mario Bros. 3, and The Legend of Zelda. So when we are looking at 16-bit games, this kind of occurred around like 1987, and it is utilizing this pixel art style. So the 16-bit, we have an advancement where we can now display 65,536 colors, which is amazing, and it adds more detail to the game. And it helps better define the detail of the graphics in Sonic, for example. You can see the variations of blue. It's pretty amazing if you think about the evolution from what we saw at 8-bit to 16-bit. So popular 16-bit games included Sonic & Knuckles, Street Fighter 2, and The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. So now what? In the early to mid-90s, we began to see a decrease in pixel art due to the advancement in technology. This is commonly known as the 5th generation, where we leap from 2D to 3D graphics. So if I'm thinking about pixel art and the evolution, 2 things that come to mind is Super Smash Bros. And GoldenEye. And this is where we really see the evolution of Mario from a really pixelated character to a character that is more refined and has a 3D look. And from 90s on, we have seen such an increase in graphics where things look more lifelike. However, now pixel art is becoming popular again as a retro style, which is crazy because if you think from the 70s to we're in 2022 right now, the advancements that they made in pixel art and gaming styles has evolved greatly. So we can see this pixel art in games such as Minecraft and Eastward. So this is kind of the history of pixel art, and we're going to go into creating our own pixelated wall art. The first thing you are going to want to do is you're going to want to search for Canva on the internet, and I'm going to go to the website. This is what the Canva homepage looks like. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sign up for an account. And then you are going to want to sign up with Google, Facebook, or email, whichever one you want. And I'm going to go ahead and sign up with email. And you're going to put in your name, your email, and your password. Now make sure you write down your email and password so you can log back in. So once you have signed up for your account, you're going to want to go over to Features, and you're going to want to go to Download. And depending on what computer you have, you will either click Canva for Mac or Canva for Windows, or Android or iOS. I am using a Mac, so I'm going to click on Canva for Mac, and you can go ahead and download it. And this will install it on your computer as its own independent app. And it is easier so you don't accidentally exit out of your window on the internet when you are creating the design. So once you have downloaded that app, you are going to want to open it up and you are going to sign in. So once you are signed in, this is what it's going to look like. And you can see that you can search for templates, or you can search up here for templates. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the custom size, and I'm going to do 8.5 inches by 11, which is standard size paper. But what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to change it from pixels to inches. I'm going to go 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to create a new design. Now, what you're going to see is this page. You can see you have templates, elements, you can upload designs here, text, audio, logos, and more. You can search templates here. If you click on elements, you can search anything you want, like a cat. And since we have the free account, we can only use the ones without the pro and the crown next to it. So I'm going to click on this cat, and you can change the colors if you want up here. And if you want to make the cat larger, you can hover over the corner until two double arrows appear. You can drag it outwards to make it larger, or you can drag it inwards to make it smaller. You can also add text, and you can click add a heading. And I will type in my cat's name. And you can put it there. Put anywhere you want on here. And if you wanted to change the color, you can go over to this text color, and I will change it to any color I want. But Canva has it where it can take colors from your document. So I will do it in this peach color. And if I wanted to change the font, I would go up over here to this panel, and I will scroll through there. We can only use the ones without the crown next to it, so we can't use that one. But if we look through here, we can use any other one we want. So I think I'm going to use this one. And that is pretty much the basics of Canva. We're going to go into more detail in our tutorials on how to use it. But if you are wanting to download this, you can click download. And depending on what you would want, you would do PNG, JPEG, PDF standard, PDF print. And if I wanted to print this out, I would go to PDF standard. I would click download, and it's going to download it. It'll save it as monroe.pdf. square on my desktop, I will click Save. And this is what it would look like. Once you're in Canva, this is what it will look like. We will click on the custom size and we will change it from px to in. And the reason why we changed it from pixels to inches is because we will want to print this out, and we use inches when we want to create a physical product. So we will click on the width and we will put it 8 by 8 and we will create a new design. So this is what our design looks like. What we are going to do is we're going to go over to the elements and we are going to click on it, and then we will click the search bar and we will search for a square. And we are going to go with a solid square. And we will hover over the edge till 2 double arrows appear, and we will drag it inwards until it's 0.4 high by 0.4. And we're going to drag this up to the upper left-hand corner. Now we are going to go over to our uploads, and we're going to click on that. So that will be right underneath the elements, and we're going to click Upload Media. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop where my resource file is saved, and I'm going to click on there and I'm going to upload it. Now when it's done uploading, that bar will disappear. I'm going to click on it, and this will give us our color palette and the font that we will be using. So I want to change the color of this square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the color right here. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to click Add a New Color. Then I'm going to click Pick a Color from the design, and I am going to click on this red. Now I'm going to right-click on the square. I'm going to click Copy, and I will right-click Paste. And what I will do is I will go over to this color. I will click on it. I will click Add a New Color, and then I will take the eyedropper and I will click on this middle color to change the color. And this is what it looks like so far. So I'm going to right-click Paste since we already have the square copied. And then I'm going to go over to the color again. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on the Add a New Color. I will click on the Pick a Color from this design, and I will pick this last red color. And now we have all of our reds ready to create a pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add Page, and I'm going to drag my resource file, and I'm going to drop it onto page 2 because we don't need that right now. Now I want to be able to see these squares better, so I'm going to go down to the bottom of this page, and you will see this slidey bar here next to the 70%. So that zooms it in. I'm going to zoom it in so I can see each square. So I can see that this square needs to go over because there's a slight white line here. So I'm going to click on it, and with my arrow key, I'm just going to move it over. And this is what it looks like. So the first row, what we are going to want to do is we are going to want to create a repeating pattern. To do this, I'm going to press my mouse down. I'm going to drag a rectangle over these 3 squares. I'm going to click right-click Copy, and then I'm going to right-click Paste. And I'm going to continue to do this until this whole row is filled. Now, since we already have that copied, all you have to do is right-click Paste, and it'll paste that original 3 squares that we copied. So I'm just going to continue to right-click Paste until I finish this row. Going to right-click Paste. going to right click paste. And I'm going to right click paste one more time. For some reason, if you accidentally unclick them and they're not grouped together, what you can do is you can hold your mouse down. You can highlight over these 3 squares until the blue rectangle appears on all of them, and then you can just move them. So this is what our first row looks like. This is a repeating pattern. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to create an offset repeating pattern. So we are going to start with the second square, and we're going to make that the first square in this row. So what we're going to do is we are going to hold our mouse down and we're going to draw a rectangle over all of these squares on this line except for the first one. And as you can see, they are all highlighted. What we're going to do is we're going to right click copy and we're going to right click paste. And then we will line the squares up so that they are aligned with each other. As you can see right here, it's not quite aligned. So what we are going to do is we're going to hold our mouse in. We're going to click with our mouse and then we're going to drag a big rectangle over the top of them. And using our arrow keys, we are going to align them. And as you can see, this first square can move over. So now everything is aligned, except for we need one more color right here, and that will be this red color. So we'll right click copy and we will right click paste. And then we will just add it right here. So to create our next row, we're going to start with this darker red, so 1 in on the second row, and we're going to hold our mouse down and we're going to draw a rectangle over all of these squares. We're going to right click copy and we're going to right click paste. We will drag this down so that it looks like this. And then we're going to take this red color, we're going to right click copy and we're going to right click paste. We'll put it right here, and then we'll take our next color, we're going to right click copy and we're going to right click paste and we're going to put it right here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start our offset pattern all over again. So we have red, a lighter red, and then a really dark red. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold our mouse down and we are going to drag a big rectangle over all these little squares. We're going to right click copy and we're going to right click paste. And then we will move it down here so that all of our squares are lined up, and that is what it will look like. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a big rectangle over all these little squares. What we will do is we will hold our mouse down, we will draw a big rectangle over these squares, we will right click copy, and then we will right click paste. And what we will do is we will drag this all the way down to the bottom. And this is what our design looks like. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to go over to our elements and we are going to get a new square. If your square isn't showing up here, you can click on the search bar and search for square. And what we will do is we will click on the square and we will add it to our design. And when you hover over the sides, you will see these 2 tabs right here in the middle, and you will click on it and you will drag it out like that to make it the right size for the design. And we're going to click on the one right here, you'll see a double arrow, and we're going to move it down so that it is right where this last row ends, and we're going to make sure it is right here. So this is going to be where our text goes for the design. So now that you have this rectangle sized the way you want, we're going to go down to our second page, and we're going to take our resource file and we're going to drag it all the way up on the first page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on our rectangle that we just created. I'm going to go over to the color. I'm going to click add a new color. I'm going to go over to the pick a color from the design, and this rectangle at the bottom is going to be the color of the background where our font goes. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this resource file and I'm going to drag it down. As you can see, it did not drag it off the page yet. So I'm just going to scroll down to page 2 and I'm going to drag it onto this page. So what we have so far is a page with a whole bunch of little graphics on it. Now we want to create a flat design so that it is one image. So in order to do that, we are going to click download. But before we do that, we are going to want to come over next to the Try Canva Pro, and we're going to want to click on this box, and we're going to want to label it TNT Photo. And we're going to click download, and we want to save it as a PNG. And then if we go down to pages, we only want page 1. And we're going to click done, and it'll download it. And then we'll click download. So this is going to download the page. And it'll save it to tntphoto.png, and this is where it is going to save it to, and it's going to save it to my desktop. I'm going to click save. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click add a page so I can have a third page, and this is going to be our final design. And what I will do is I will shrink it down a little bit right here so that I can see the whole page. So I'm going to go over to uploads. I'm going to click upload media. I'm going to click desktop, and I'm going to click on my TNT photo. And it will upload it, and once this bar disappears, it means it's ready. And I will click on it and it will add it to page 3. So I'm going to click on it and drag it so that it aligns to the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to hover over the corner and I am going to drag it outward to make it the same size as this page. So it is 8 by 8. Now, a great feature about Canva is that you can edit images. So if you click on your image, we can click edit image, and sometimes you'll see pixelate right here, but you can click on the search right here and you can type in pixelate and you can click on it. And what this will do is it'll bring up a whole bunch of different features that you can do. But I'm going to click on pixelate, and it makes a pixel pattern that's more random to create that pixelated design we like. So I am liking the way that looks, so I'm going to click apply. And I'm going to go over to text. And I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click add a heading. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this ... more, and it's going to bring up this little panel. And we're going to click on this little a, big A, that'll make it all uppercase. And then we're going to highlight our text, and then we're going to type in TNT, and we are going to change the color to black. Now we want to change the font, and if we scroll up to page 2 with our resource file, we're going to see that it is called 9 by 5. So I'm going to click on my TNT. I'm going to go over to this box right here, and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to type in 9, and it'll show up 9 by 5, and it gives us this pixelated font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold in the corner, and I'm going to drag it outwards to make it nice and large. and then I'm going to click off of it so I can drag it where I want to. And I think that could be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to hover over the corners, press my mouse down, and drag it outwards to make it bigger. And then I'm going to click on it, and then I will move it around. So this is our final design. So what we are going to do is I'm going to click right here. I'm going to click TNT Final, so I know that it is my final design. I'm going to click Download, and I'm going to use PDF Standard because I want to print it, and I don't want all 3 pages. All I want to do is I want page 3, so I'm going to unclick all pages here so there's no check marks, and then I'm going to check page 3. Then I will click Done, and it is ready to download. So we have our TNT Final. It's going to save to my desktop, and I'm going to click Save. And this is what my final design looks like. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make your own custom TNT pixelated artwork. Once you're Canva, it should look like this. What we are going to do is we are going to go over to Custom Size, and we are going to click on it. Since we are going to be making a printed piece, we are going to switch it from pixels to inches, and we are going to want to make it 8 inches wide by 8 inches high. And then we will click Create a New Design. This is what your Canva should look like. We are going to go over to this left side panel, and we're going to click on Upload, and we're going to click Upload Media. And you are going to want to upload your resource file. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to upload it. And once this bar disappears, it is ready to be put into your design. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to move it over to the side. Now these are going to be the colors that we are using in our design. So we're going to go over to the Element tab. We're going to click on it, and we're going to search for a square. And I'm just going to use this solid square. I need to shrink this square down. So what I need to do is I need to hover over the corner until the 2 double arrows appear. I will click on it, and I will hold my mouse down, and I will drag it inward till it's 0.4 by 0.4. And then I'm going to drag it to the upper left-hand corner. Now I'm going to click on my square. I'm going to go over to the color right here. I will click on that. And then I'm going to click on Add a New Color. And I will pick a color from my design. And my first square is going to be this light green color. And then I'm going to click on my square. I'm going to right-click Copy and right-click Paste. And that will give me another square. I'm going to click on this square. I'm going to go over to the Color tab. I'm going to click Add a New Color. And I'm going to click on the eyedropper. And I'm going to do it this middle green color. Then I'm going to right-click, paste, and it'll give me my original square. I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to go over to the Color tab. I'm going to click Add a New Color, and I will click Pick a Color from the design. And I will do this last green color. Since we have these colors picked out, we can click on our resource file that we drug in, and we can either click delete on our keyboard, or you can click on it and you can go over to the little trash can right here and it will delete it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my square and I'm going to drag it so that it is aligned right next to this first square. And then I'm going to continue to do that with my third square. Now, if we look down at the bottom, we are going to see this slider right here, and we can increase the size of our artboard that we are working on so that we can see our squares better. What we are going to be doing is we're going to be creating a repeating pattern. So we have the light green, the middle green, and the dark green. And what we are going to do is we're going to continue this pattern for the first row. So I'm going to hold my mouse down. I am going to draw a rectangle over all 3 squares, and it is going to highlight it. Then I'm going to right-click copy, and then I'm going to right-click paste. And I'm going to make a pattern with these 3 colors. So I'm going to right-click paste since we already have that first section copied. And I'm just going to continue to build this row, making sure that my squares are aligned. So I will right-click paste, and it'll give me that first 3 squares. And I'm just building on this whole row. So I'm just continuing to right-click paste until I get to the very end. And I will right-click paste, and this gives me my first row. So for our second row, we want to create an offset repeating pattern. So an offset repeating pattern is where we offset the color of the square. So instead of doing a repeating pattern where we start with the green right here, we're going to offset it using the middle shade of green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my mouse down. I'm going to draw a rectangle over all of these squares, and I'm going to end it on that middle green shade. I'm going to right-click copy. I'm going to click off of it with my mouse, just click on the white artboard we have, and I'm going to paste it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up so that this middle shade green is the first square on this row. And then I'm going to take a light green square. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to copy. I'm going to right-click paste, and I will put it right here. And that creates our second row. We still have this repeating pattern, but it is offset by 1. So for our third row, we are going to use this dark green color as our first square. So I'm going to hold down my mouse, and I'm going to draw a rectangle over all of these squares. And you can see that there's that blue line around all of them. I'm going to right-click copy, and then I'm going to right-click paste. And I am going to drag it so that it is all aligned. You can see that the squares are all aligned with each other. And I'm going to need a middle shade green square for right here. So I'm going to right-click copy, right-click paste, and I will put that right here. So this is our pattern for the whole design. So what we can do is we can hold our mouse down, we can draw a rectangle over all of these 3 rows so that they are all highlighted. You can right-click copy, right-click paste, and you can build your design 3 rows at a time. And what you're going to want to do is click off of that So you're going to right click paste, and you're going to continue to build your design. We are going to right click paste, and we're going to drag it down, and we are going to continue to build this checkerboard of green squares. So I'm going to right click paste, right click paste, and for some reason, if you accidentally make a mistake and you drag it and you release your mouse and you click off and you don't have your rows lined up, what you can do is you can go over to this top to this undo button right here, and you can click undo until it disappears. So I'm going to right click paste. I'm going to drag this down, and I'm going to click paste one more time, and this should finish out our design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this slide bar and I'm going to shrink it down so I can see my whole design. Now, this artboard where we created all of our square design is made up of a ton of little squares. In order to create the pixelated effect, what we are going to want to do is we are going to want to download this so all the little squares become one image. So I'm going to go over to this little box right here, and I'm going to type in creeper photo. And that is going to be the name of my file. I'm going to go to download, and I'm going to want a PNG file, and I will click download. And it is going to download my photo. Here is the name of the file, and this is where it tells me where it's going to download, and it is going to be my desktop, and I'm going to click save. Now what we are going to want to do is we are going to want to add a new page. We will go over to our uploads, and we're going to click upload media. And what we are going to do is we're going to go to where we saved it. Mine is on my desktop, and I will click creeper photo, and it'll upload it. Once that bar is gone, I will drag and drop it into my design, and I will move it to the left hand corner at the top, and I will hover over the corner, and I will drag it outwards to make it larger. Sometimes when you drag and drop it in though, you can drag and drop it and it will automatically size the design for you. So either way is okay. We just want the design to cover the whole page. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on our image, and we're going to go to edit image. We will search for pixelate, and it should look something like that. And what we are going to do is we are going to click on pixel, and we are going to click apply. And this is what our design looks like. Now all we have left to do is to add the eyes and the mouth. So I'm going to go over to my Elements tab, and you can search for square, but it is left on what I last searched, so I'm just going to add a square. Now we're going to hover over the corner, and we are going to hold our mouse in, and we're going to drag it so that it is 2 by 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this color to black, and then I'm going to right click copy and right click paste. so that both of my eyes are the same size. And you can place it wherever you want in your design. So I think I like it like that. Now what we are going to do is we are going to make our mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new square, and I'm going to make this into a rectangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this tab in the middle, and I'm going to make it shorter till it looks about like this. And I think I'm going to make it longer. And by doing that, I click on the tab in the middle, I hold it down, and I drag it outwards. And I think I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. And I will make it black. So I'm going to go over to the color, and I'm just going to pick a black color. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the rest of the mouth. So I'm going to click on a square, and I think I'm going to make it thinner by holding the mouse down on this middle tab and bringing it inwards, and then I'm going to make it shorter by holding in the tab at the bottom and bringing it inwards so that it looks something like this, and I will change it to black. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click copy and right click paste so I have the same size. And that is what my design looks like right now. I feel like my rectangles can go up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on them, and I'm just going to drag them up. And I'll click on this one and I'll drag it up. And you can see this dotted line. That means that it is in line with the other square. Then I will move this rectangle up a bit, and I will move these up by clicking on them and moving them up. Now this is up to you how you want to arrange the face. I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this square, and I'm going to offset it over a bit so that we have a nice little notch design here. But this is up to you and how you want to arrange your face on here. So I'm liking the way that this looks. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Creeper Photo right up here, and I'm going to label it Creeper Vinyl. And I'm going to click Download. And if I'm wanting to print this out, I want to print it out using a PDF standard document. So I'm going to click on that, and I don't want both pages download. I only want one page download, and that is my second page. And once I have that clicked on there, I'm going to click Done, and then I will click Download. And this is going to save as creeperfinal.pdf where on my desktop, and I'm going to click Save. And when you're done, this is what your creeper wall art will look like. I hope you enjoyed creating a Minecraft-inspired pixelated wall art. Once you are in Canva, it is going to look like this. The first thing you are going to want to do is you're going to want to come over to the Custom Size button and click on it. And we are going to change the dimension from pixels to inches, and we're going to make our design 8 inches wide by 8 inches high. And then we will click Create New Design. The first thing you are going to want to do is you're going to want to go over to the Uploads section on the left sidebar and click on it. what we are going to do is we're going to click on Upload Media, and you are going to want to upload your pig resource.png. And you will open this up. And once you have it opened, you're going to click on it and it'll get added into your design. What we are going to do is we're going to move it to our lower right-hand corner so that we can grab our colors from our color palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Elements, and in the search bar, I'm going to search for a square. And what I will do is I will click on the square, and I'm going to hover over the corner until two double arrows appear. I will click on it, and with my mouse held down, I'm going to drag it inwards to make it smaller, so that is 0.4 by 0.4. Now we are going to change the color of this square. So we are going to click on our square. We are going to go over to this color box and we will click on it. And we will click on this Add New Color symbol right here with the plus mark. We'll click on that. And then we will click on this eyedropper to get a color from this design. And the first color we're going to be doing is this brighter pink color. Now we are going to click on this square. We're going to right click copy and we will right click paste. And what we will do is we will drag it over. We will click on this square. We will go over to the color panel. We will click add a new color and we will click the eyedropper to pick our second pink color right here. What we will do next is we will right click and we'll click paste, which will paste our first original square. I'm going to drag it over here and then I'm going to click the color box right here. I will click add a new color and I will click this eyedropper and I'm going to pick the lightest pink for our third square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the image we just dropped in here, and you can either click delete on your keyboard or you can click this little trash can right up here, and I'm going to delete it because we don't need that anymore because we have our squares right here with the colors that we need. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it up to the upper left-hand corner. And then I will take the middle shade of pink and I will make sure it is up here and aligned with the first square. And I'm just going to start creating a row of pink colors. As you can see, I did not get the square close enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to the slide bar and I'm going to increase it so I can see my squares better. And as you can see, there's this faint white line here between the two squares. I'm going to click on my square, and with your arrow keys on your keyboard, you can just move it over and it'll move it slightly. And then I'm going to take my pink square and I'm going to move it next to that middle shade of pink. And I think I want to enlarge it a little bit more so I can see it better. So this is what our design looks like so far. We have our three colors that we are going to use to create a repeating pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my mouse down and I'm going to move it and draw a rectangle over these three squares. Once it is all selected, there's that blue rectangle around all three of them. I'm going to right click copy and then I'll click off of the square so that they're not highlighted. I'm going to right click paste, and what that does is that it copies those three squares so I can make my repeating pattern. So I'm just going to continue to right click paste until I have all of my squares for this first row. So I'm going to right click paste And for some reason, if I accidentally click off of it and they're not selected, what I can do is I can go up here to this undo button and I can click undo and it gets rid of them. So if you make a mistake like that, it's easy to undo it. So I'm going to right click paste and I will just continue to make this row. I will right click paste and I'm going to continue to do this until I fill out my row. I'm going to right click paste one more time. And for this last little section, I'm going to fill out this row and you'll see that it goes off our white square and that'll just get cut off. So that it is a partial square right here. So this is our first pattern. Now for the second row, we are going to create an offset repeating pattern. And what that means is that we're just going to offset it by one square. So this middle pink color will be the first square. I'm going to hold my mouse down. I'm going to drag a rectangle over all these squares except for the very first one. I'm going to right click copy. I'm going to click off of it and I'm going to right click paste. And what I will do is I will drag it so that is the second row and I'm going to make sure my squares are all aligned. And so far that looks very good. As you can see, we're missing a square right here and that will be the lighter pink color. So I'm just going to pick a light pink square. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to right click copy and I will right click paste. And this is what it looks like so far. So I'm going to continue my offset repeating pattern where this lighter shade of pink is going to be the first square in this row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my mouse down. I'm going to draw a rectangle over all of these squares except for the first one. I'm going to right click copy. I'm going to right click paste. And I'm going to drag this over so that this is one nice line for the first squares. So I'm going to click off of it. And then I can see that I need one more square right here. And that is going to be this dark pink color. So I'm going to click on the square. I'm going to right click copy. And I'm going to right click paste. And I will put this square right here. Now what we have done is we have created a repeating offset pattern where we have our dark pink, our middle pink, and our light pink. Since we have these three rows, the next row will be the dark pink. So what we are going to do is we're going to start copying and pasting 3 rows at a time. So you're going to hold your mouse down and draw a rectangle over all of the squares. You're going to right click copy and you're going to right click paste. And then we're going to start lining these squares up. And as you can see, they all look in line, like the first row of squares all look in line. So we're going to continue to do this. I'm going to right click paste. And for some reason, if you did this and you accidentally clicked off, what we are going to do is we are going to go over to this undo button and we're going to click undo until it disappears. So if something like that happens, you can always go over to the undo button. So I'm going to right click paste. I'm going to continue to build my rows. I'm going to right click paste. I'm just going to continue to right click paste. And I'm going to right click paste again. And this is our last set of rows and we're going to right click paste and we're just going to line it up. And there is our background pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to this slider bar and I'm going to slide it out so I can see the whole square. I can slide it down a little bit more. And this whole piece is made up of individual squares. And in order to create that pixelated pattern, what we're going to do is we're going to download this as an image so that it is one big square instead of a whole bunch of smaller squares. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to this box right here next to the share, and we are going to type in pig photo. And we're going to click download, and we will download it as a PNG, and we're going to click download. And it will begin to download. This is going to be saved as pig photo PNG, and it is going to be saved on our desktop. I'm going to click save. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to this add page right here. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to go over to my uploads tab right here, and I'm going to click upload media. I will go to my desktop, and here is my pig photo, and I'm going to click on it. And you can see that it is uploading. Once the bar is gone, it is done uploading. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to move it over to the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to hold down my mouse on the corner, and I'm going to drag it outwards to make it the size of this entire board that we are working on. So we're going to edit this photo, and what we are going to do is we're going to click on the picture, and this edit image is going to come up. We are going to click on the edit image, and we're going to go to pixelate. We will search for pixelate. We will click on that, and we will go to pixel right here, and we will click apply. And what that does, it just creates more of a random pattern within our design. So the next thing we are going to want to do is we are going to want to upload our picture of our pig snout. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to upload media. I'm going to go to my desktop because that's where it's saved, and I'm going to upload my pig snout. I'm going to click open. And it is going to open up, and we're going to click on it, and it'll get put into our design. So this is the size of our pig snout, and you can place that wherever you want. If you want to make it a little bit smaller, which I think I'm going to do, you can do that. And I'm going to put it right in the middle. So we have our snout, and the next thing we want to do is add our eyes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my elements. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to either search for square, or since that's the last thing I searched for, it's already going to be brought up. So I'm going to click on a square. I'm going to hover over the corner until the double arrows appear. I'm going to hold my mouse down, and I'm going to drag it inwards until it's 1 by 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it over to the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the color box, and I'm going to change it to black. And that is my first part of my eye. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click copy. I'm going to right click paste, and I'm going to put this over on the right hand side. So I'm going to drag it all the way over there, and as you can see, there is dotted lines on the top, the middle, and the bottom. That means that it is aligned with the square on the left hand side. So I'm going to place that right there. The final thing we are going to want to do is we're going to want to add the white part of the eye. So what we will do is we'll go over to the square, we'll right click copy, right click paste, we will go over to the color box, and we will click white. And I will drag it over and I will butt it right up against the black one. And that is our finished eye on the left-hand side. So I'm going to click on that white square. I'm going to right-click copy. I'm going to right-click paste, and I'm going to drag this right next to the other square on the right-hand side. Now that I can see that I have my eyes done, I think I want to move my pig nose over a little bit. And I'm thinking I like the way that looks. So this is our final design for our pig. What we will do is we will go over to our box next to the share, and what we're going to do is we're going to leave the pig and we're going to type in final for the name of this file because it is our final pig file. So I'm going to go over to my download, and what I want to do is I want to do PDF standard, which will allow us to print this out. And then I'm going to go over to the pages. I only want page 2 downloaded, so I'm going to go over to page 2. I'm going to click the check mark. So that is the only page that is going to be downloaded. And then I will click done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click download. And it will be saved as pigfinal.pdf. It's going to be saved on my desktop, and I'm going to click save. And as you can see, it is completed. And when you're done, this is what your design should look like. I hope you enjoyed learning how to create a Minecraft-inspired pixelated pig.